Oh, I forgot to do something else. Oh, well, but that don't matter because right now this is a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. I was going to do another song tribute today because we lost another musician this week, but I forgot to get it set up in my speed in trying to get this show set up in time. I'm liking that. Maybe if I'll turn it. I'll lower it down here. That better? No, it really isn't. Anyway, I'm sorry. Playing with the lights a little bit. I should have done this later. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That might work. Excuse me. Welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. This is episode 427, The Death Pool. We'll talk a little bit about why it's called that. Because we had not one, but two big deaths happen basically on the same day. So now we're just waiting for the third shoe to drop right now. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about stuff on Netflix, stuff on Disney Plus, new trailers, movies, changing dates, some science stuff, archaeology, special anniversary. I just realized we get Joss Whedon trying to tell his side of the story, and it gets worse. Some new TV shows have been picked up. NFL playoffs. We have the winners of tonight's games, which might come to a surprise. We've got a lot of baseball news, actually, which is kind of interesting. Daniel Radcliffe is going to be doing a very interesting next film. Here we go again with DC Comics. Is the Marvel distribution deal with Penguin already in trouble? Talk a little bit about that. Lord of the Rings TV show gets a new trailer, and some food stuff and some reviews of stuff that I talked about. So here we go. Not a big one, about 2 pages of notes. So we're probably looking at about an hour worth of stuff. So you can hang with me for about an hour. It'll take us to about 12:40 a.m. It is presently 11:40 p.m. here on January 22nd, 2022. It is my nephew Drew's 21st birthday. He's probably totally intoxicated right now because he was going to have a big party with his family and friends. We went down to see my sister, brother-in-law, and my nephews, not just to wish them happy birthday, but it was our first Christmas. It was our Christmas with them. So it was a nice trip down to Virginia. Not a bad trip back down, I should say. We were planning on seeing Spider-Man No Way Home because the family hadn't seen it yet, and I I've been keeping it secret that I have seen it already because I don't want them to get mad at me. They don't watch the show anyway, so they don't know. But we will go see that now tomorrow. We were going to see it after we visited my sister today, but we stayed a little longer than we thought, which was fine. It ended up being pretty nice. And so we were working it out. So we're actually going to meet up with my dad and stepmom tomorrow for our Christmas with them. We're going to be going to the Green Turtle in Hunt Valley, and Hunt Valley has a movie theater there showing Spider-Man. We're going to see it at 12:30 tomorrow, and then when it's over, we should meet up for lunch right across the parking lot. And there's a Green Turtle with my dad and stepmom for our Christmas with them by 3 o'clock-ish, 3:30-ish. So all in all, should be a good day tomorrow. It's been awfully chilly. This week we had a snow bust. I always find it interesting when the meteorologists are guaranteeing you we're going to get like 2 inches of snow and all this crazy stuff, and we didn't get anything. Thursday, they were tracking a storm because Arctic weather was going to be rolling in to our area. Wednesday was a nice 40-plus degree day, so it was warmish. And so Wednesday night into Thursday, it started to rain, and it was still kind of warmish, so it rained overnight for a long time. And then the snow was supposed to roll through when the Arctic stuff hit around 5 a.m., So with that in mind, schools went to 2 hours late arrival, opening 2 hours late. So that gave them some time, and they would reevaluate at 6:30. So I get up at 5 o'clock. No snow. It's still raining pretty heavy too. Still warm out. Okay. they said maybe it might start at 5 o'clock, but it's not. 5:30, nothing. 6 o'clock, still raining, nothing. 6:30, they call schools closed. They have the schools closed because the forecast is still calling for 2 to 4 inches of snow and ice, and that's supposed to happen in the next hour or so. So they don't want the roads to be bad and have the kids stuff, or later in the day when they're coming home, they don't want to have to go through slip and sliding stuff and like that. So they close school. So I get out to my car 6:30 to go to work. It's raining and it's warm. It's like, okay. I get down to my work. It's raining, not cold. I work. I check on stuff. It stops raining at my work, and there's no snow whatsoever. It clears out. There's nothing there. I go on Facebook at my break time about 10 o'clock. There's a light dusting of snow that has come through the area, but it's gone now, and it stopped. So when I got home, you wouldn't even know that it snowed. There might be some light snow here and there on the grass, but none of the roads were messed up. Parking lot wasn't messed up. Sidewalk wasn't messed up. Nothing. There was nothing. So it was a bust of a storm. Now they're calling for some snow showers tomorrow, and right now, just like, I don't believe that for a second. So whatever. And they're also calling for maybe some snow later next week. So it's going to be one of those years where we had a year a few years ago where it literally snowed every week. It wasn't always a big snow, but it was always a little snow here, and then maybe a medium-sized one here, and a small one here, and then a couple flurries here, but it was still snowing, and then a heavy snowstorm, and then a light snowstorm, medium snow, but literally from like January to like April, every week from that point, from that stretch, there was snow in some kind of form. Could be on Monday, could have been on Wednesday, could have been on Friday, could have been on the weekend, but it was still there. So my nephew turned 21. He's now legally able to drink, though obviously, as everybody knows, you probably start drinking when you're about 16, 17, 18, maybe even younger, depending, when you sneak stuff at your parents' house. And we're sure that he is no different than that. But it was fun, as I said, fun time. And we had a Christmas with them, and we saw the new pool table and my nephew's new dog. And it was kind of nice. And then tomorrow we're going to go see the movie and have a nice dinner with my dad and stepmom. And we get back ready for another fun-filled week of work. And that ends January for the most part, because January is going to be ending really soon. Last week, I mentioned that Mountain Dew Spark was going to be coming into shops soon. Didn't know when it was. It was a Applebee's only drink, and it's a raspberry lemonade flavored Mountain Dew. So, to my surprise, I go into the grocery store, I think Tuesday, to get some stuff for whatever. And lo and behold, what do I see? But 12 packs of Mountain Dew Spark. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this. So instead of one 12-pack, I bought 2 12-packs because I was that sure I was going to like the raspberry lemonade. Now, I did say last week that I would do it on the show, taste it for the first time on the show, but I had to taste it on Tuesday. Actually, I think it was Monday, actually. Yeah, I think it was Monday, actually. Or Sunday, I saw one of those things. It was earlier this week. So I did try it, and let me show you. It's a nice pink color. It's like pink lemonade. It's got a very strong fizzy lemonade flavor with a little touch of raspberry, which is what it is. Actually, not too bad. I'm actually enjoying it, and I think I will enjoy the additional 12-pack, the 24 cans I got, and I will probably continue to still get it because I kind of liked it. So, yeah, so good on that. So Mountain Dew Spark, if you get a chance, go ahead. It is now available in your grocery store. I saw it there. I saw it at Giant. Where else did I see it? I saw someplace else. Can't remember where else it was. Oh, I saw it at Harris Teeter. So it's everywhere. So you go wherever you want. It's there. Now, also this week, I tried the Rice Krispie Treat Coffee Creamer that Coffee Mate did, and it's does its job also. I actually like it too. I have it at my work coffee, and it's very the strongest note for the Rice Krispie Treat coffee creamer is obviously going to be marshmallow. So what I drink at work is our coffee is so shitty that I have to add hot chocolate powder to it to make a mocha, and then I put this Rice Krispie Treat creamer on top of it. So it's basically like drinking a hot chocolate with a hot coffee chocolate with a touch of marshmallow in it. It's not bad. It's actually pretty good, and I enjoy it. So I highly recommend that as well. Now I just got to find the Golden Grams one that Coffee Mate did, and then supposedly the Willy Wonka one I told you about last year is making its way into stores now. So I want to check that one out as well. Again, I will check it out and let you know. But yes, definitely Mountain Dew Spark is worth the flavor taste, or worth the taste try. See if you like it. And Rice Krispie Treat Coffee Creamer is good also. Valentine's Day is getting here sooner than later. I need to start doing my shopping for my wife. Nestle Toll House cookies are making a limited edition Valentine cookie dough with heart-shaped sparkles in it. So it's the one that's already pre-cut, or it's in a roll, and you just cut it, and it's already got the sprinkles in it. You just pop them on the oven tray and put them in the oven, and boom, they're done. So that's pretty good too. So good on that. The playoffs, NFL playoffs, week 2 started today with 2 games. The 2 number 1 seeds who had the advantage for having a bye week to get healthy, get your, sit back, relax a little bit, take a breather after a long, grueling 18 weeks of football. They only played 17 games, but it was an 18-week season with a bye in there. It's the first time they'd ever done that, so it was a nice little relaxing thing to do. Opening game was the Cincinnati Bengals traveled to Tennessee Titans to play them. The Cincinnati Bengals, who were a joke a few years ago, are now on their way to the AFC Championship game. They beat the number 1 seed Tennessee Titans 19-16 on the power of field goals for the most part, and defense. Now, I can't say defense. I mean, I think they held Derrick Henry to not too many rushing yards, but he was obviously coming off an injury, so it didn't really matter that much. But the main interesting stat about this game is the Tennessee Titans sacked Joe Burrow a tied record 9 times. Playoff record. It's they tied the record for most sacks in a playoff game. They sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. That's a hell of a lot of hits there, I'm telling you. And they still lost the game 19-16. So that's crazy. In the nightcap, we had the San Francisco 49ers traveling to the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers, playing in the brutal Green Bay area. And the 49ers didn't start off too good with 4 dropped passes that could have changed the tide of the game. But in the end, Aaron Rodgers, in his tenure as Green Bay Packers quarterback, has never beaten the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs. And that continues with a surprise victory by the 49ers over the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers, 13-10. So both number 1 seeds coming off of their advantageous bye week where they were resting up and getting healthy, both are no longer playing football. So the number 2 seed of the Kansas City Chiefs is still in play right now, as is the number 2 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who play tomorrow also, basically when we're going to be eating lunch dinner at the Green Turtle after we see the movie. So, yeah, football's weird, man, and you never know what you're going to get. So, good job on the Cincinnati Bengals. They are who the Cleveland Browns wanted to be this year, but Cincinnati is actually playing really good football, with the exception of getting sacked 9 times. So, we'll see what happens. Always interesting to see that type of stuff. Science had quite of a doozy of a discovery this week. Black holes apparently assist in the creation of stars. They also are a reason for the destruction of stars as well. But scientists got some actual proof of a black hole spitting out some chemicals or whatever that help create stars. So that's another little, what the hell is going on with black holes? And another thing for scientists to go, well, someone else need to add to the list about black holes. So kind of an interesting sort of take on things, it's kind of interesting. Disney Plus has been fairly successful since their inception 2 years ago. They do a good combination of original content with their Marvel and Star Wars TV shows and some other, TV shows like the Mighty Ducks and then their documentary series as well. And they also create movies specifically for Disney Plus, because why not? That's what you do. So it's kind of interesting to see that they have that. And on the flip side, also, they tend to like to make live action versions of their popular cartoon series. We've seen Aladdin, Little Mermaid will be coming out really soon, live action version of that. We've seen live action version of The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, all that type of stuff. Well, add one more to that list. And then Pinocchio is going to be coming out later this year with Tom Hanks. So add another one to that live action recreation of an animated film. But this one is not one a lot of people might have heard about. Disney is going to be doing a live action version of the Aristocats. So do with that what you will. I still think it might be pretty cool to see how they do the Aristocats in live action. And that's more of an interesting sort of movie you want to make into a live action one, because everyone loves their animated versions of the Beauty and the Beast and Cinderellas and Aladdins and all those. But Aristocats doesn't really have that quality. 101 Dalmatians did pretty good with that as well. But the Aristocats don't really have that recognition and stuff like that. And now they very well could. I think I mentioned this before, but it has officially been announced from Disney Plus that Bo-Katan, the character introduced in the Clone Wars cartoon, voiced by Katie Sackhoff, and then showed up in the live action version of The Mandalorian, also performed by Katie Sackhoff, who is also going to show up, I believe, in the Ahsoka TV show coming up later this year, and also is going to be a main focus in Mandalorian Season 3, has also been given her own show as well. So I'm assuming it'll have some connection to what's going on with the end of Mandalorian Part 3. Maybe she regains the throne of Mandalore, and the show is going to be about her trying to rebuild Mandalore again. So that seems very Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett-esque sort of quality, rebuilding something from the ground up type of thing. Speaking of that, I did not watch the new episode yet. Probably watch it tomorrow, so I do not have a review of the 4th episode of the Book of Boba Fett. So, sorry. Now, I already showed you the Mountain Dew Spark. How about Mountain Dew Popcorn? Mountain Dew flavored popcorn is on its way. Again, I don't know if the flavor of Mountain Dew is what draws people to drink it. I think it's the high caffeine content, more likely. But what do I know? Apple TV, which is another one of those that has been doing really well with a lot of their stuff, announced this week that they are going to continue the MonsterVerse, meaning when Godzilla was rebooted in mid-2010s, and then they had the spinoff, The King of All Monsters, and then they released the Godzilla vs. King Kong last year. Well, we're going to get a live-action TV show set in that Godzilla MonsterVerse featuring these characters. So could be very interesting. That was one of the things that growing up, the Saturday matinees were usually the dubbed versions of the Godzilla movies that came from Japan. So to have a TV show based in the MonsterVerse could be pretty interesting because that seems to be the trend right now. Peacemaker at HBO Max is getting a lot of really good buzz and press. I don't have HBO Max and really don't have any desire to see it, to be honest, but it's getting good reviews. Obviously, the Star Wars, the Marvel stuff is getting good stuff as well. So it just makes sense that other people will be taken to task, and why not? Everybody loves Godzilla, and to have a TV series with all these monsters, Rodan and King Kong and Godzilla and all that could be a boon for them. So we'll find out. Oh, Kraft mac and cheese, which is not my favorite mac and cheese, actually one of the worst mac and cheeses of all time because it's a powdered cheese instead of the liquidy gold that is the Velveeta shells. But a lot of people still like the Kraft macaroni and cheese. I'm just not one of them. I don't particularly like having to mix milk with a cheese powder to create cheese sauce for my mac and cheese. I like to have the sauce be sauce already and just drench the shells, and it's delicious. That's why I prefer the Velveeta shells to Kraft. But Kraft, to make, I guess, and this might be along the lines of what I'm saying, Kraft might be doing this to try to make the Kraft macaroni and cheese taste better. They're adding Kraft mac and cheese flavor boosts, 3 flavors. There's buffalo flavor, ranch flavor, and pizza flavor. So basically you add pizza powder or ranch flavor powder or ranch dressing flavored powder to your orange cheesy Kraft powder and milk, mix it all together, and you get buffalo mac and cheese and ranch mac and cheese and pizza mac and cheese. So for fans of that, that's sounds good, but give me the Velveeta shells and cheese a million days from Sunday. One of the trailers that came out this week was for a Netflix hit documentary series from 2020 about Joe Exotic and his tigers. It became a huge deal during the beginning parts of quarantine, the beginning of 2020, that it became part of the iconography of the 2020s. And I think now the Joe Exotic stuff has died down just in time for Netflix to do their docu-series, part 2 of the Joe Exotic stuff, which continues to follow him and his stuff. But I guess it's Paramount Plus, the Peacock Network has decided that they want to have their own version of Joe Exotic, or whatever his name is. Yeah, Joe Exotic. And so they decide to do a dramatic reinterpretation of Joe Exotic and his tigers called Joe versus Carol. And it's a series that stars Kyle MacLachlan and other I don't know who else the other characters, but Kyle MacLachlan is the big character. He doesn't play Joe Exotic, but he plays one of the characters involved in that whole docu-series thing. So I wasn't a big fan of Tiger King or whatever the hell it's called. I didn't even watch it. It wasn't it wasn't in my range. Fortnite became my iconography in the early 2020s. So I didn't watch that. So, and then, as I said, it's dying. No one has really talked about it. I mean, the trailer for the new season of the docu-series has not been getting any buzz at all. So it might be done over with in this show being a dramatic reinterpretation of stuff we've already seen, except, if you don't have Netflix, you can see it on this Peacock now. So I don't know. I'm just kind of stupid, really, to be honest. Yeah. So today's episode is called The Death Pool. Last week we lost Bob Saget. someone else. Oh, Ronnie Spector. And before that, we've lost other people, Betty White, and so on and so forth. So 2022 is taking on a very interesting reflection of 2016 when it comes to celebrity deaths. 2016 came out of nowhere and smacked us upside our heads in January with the deaths of David Bowie and Alan Rickman. But they weren't done with us. They spent the whole rest of the year dropping people that were unexpected, who were iconic, and then expected and unexpected, and taking us all the way to the end where George Michael and Carrie Fisher wrapped up our 2016 death season. So we got 2 more big deaths this week, literally on the same day. But before I talk about who they are, everyone knows who they are anyway, if you've been following stuff. What a death pool is an actual thing you can probably find online somewhere where people make bets about which celebrities are going to die next. They make a list of, it's almost like a bingo, a list of all the celebrities they think have the potential to die in the next week, the next month, the next year. And they put wagers on it to see who's right and who's wrong. So I would guarantee you, they'll some people will take the older actors and actresses like, a Mel Brooks or Clint Eastwood type, because they're both in their like close to their 80s, and I think Mel Brooks actually in his 90s. So you've got those 2 right off the bat, and then you probably want to throw in an unpredictable one because they're unpredictable deaths all the time. And then you might just want to throw a name out there that, hold on, see what happens, because you never know what's going to happen. So that's what the death pool is. Deadpool covers something similar in its first movie, and no, we're going like that. But for those who are playing the death pool, dun, 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 if you had the singer Meatloaf, he died this week at the age of 74, mostly known as a musician, singing Bat Out of Hell, I'll Do Anything for You, But I Won't Do That. And the most cringeworthy song of all time is Paradise by the Dashboard Light. It starts off okay, and then it goes off in this totally insane direction that irritates me when I hear it. And Jack FM, who I've had my issues with before, found out this week they moved into the former headquarters of where I used to work at the radio station, WLIF, in the Towson Commons Zone. And when it was announced, I guess it was yesterday morning or Thursday morning, must have been Thursday morning, that Meatloaf passed away, they played conversations with Meatloaf, interviews with Meatloaf, and his songs periodically through the work day that I did. So I was going to do one of those Meatloaf songs. He was also in Rocky Horror Picture Show and had some time that he did some acting chops. He was in Fight Club. He was in Wayne's World. He also showed up in School of Rock and has done a bunch of acting. He also is an avid ghost hunter and showed up on the TV show Ghost Hunters years ago and assisted the ghost hunters on a ghost hunt. So he was a man of many things, and he will be missed. So he died early in the morning. I think it was Thursday. It might have been yesterday, actually, to be honest. I think it was yesterday, to be honest. Let me see here. Well, I meant Friday now because it's now after midnight. Yeah, it was Friday. Okay, so it was yesterday Meatloaf died. So later in the afternoon yesterday, we discovered comedian Louis Anderson passed away also. Now, earlier in the morning, I had seen an article about how Pauly Shore went to visit Louis Anderson to say goodbye, and I was like, that's an odd headline. And I didn't know that Louis Anderson maybe was sick or anything like that. And then literally a few hours later, Louis Anderson died. I was like, that's a lot of foresight by Pauly Shore. But you got to realize at the same time is that Louis Anderson has been fighting cancer for a while. And so it was bound to get him eventually. Like earlier this year, we found out that George Perez, artist extraordinaire, DC and Marvel, he has like a cancer that is going to kill him, I think now in about 4 to 5 months. So he's going to be passing away very soon as well. So it might have been a similar situation with Louis Anderson. Now, he's a stand-up comedian. He also had his own cartoon. He was in Coming to America. He was a host of Family Feud when they redid Family Feud to bring it back into like sort of modern times. He was the original host of that. So he did a lot of stuff. So those two, passed away yesterday. So we're still waiting on the third shoe to drop because people die in threes. And you really can't connect the deaths from last week to these because the rule of three when it comes to three celebrities dying all in a row has to be within the next 2 or 3 days, I think. If it doesn't happen, then it's not going to happen. And you can no longer say it has the rule of three. Excuse me. So we got the first word of the length of the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. It will be the longest Batman movie of all time. And I guess it's going to stay at that because they haven't said they're going to do any edits, but it is a final edit running time of 2 hours and 55 minutes. So almost a 3-hour movie. So we'll see. I mean, if you're doing a version of Long Halloween like it appears you are, kind of, even though they're destroying the character of the Riddler and he seems to be the one who's the main bad guy, but all the villains seem to be popping up in this one, and there was talk that it's connected to the Long Halloween storyline. So it would make sense to try to jam all that into a 3-hour movie. So we'll see what happens. Moon Knight, we discovered this week, will be the next Disney Plus series to come on after the Book of Boba Fett that we know of right now. It will be the first Marvel one of this year. So Monday night, they released the first full trailer for Moon Knight. And at the very end of it, as predicted, they had the date of arrival. Moon Knight Season 1, Episode 1 will be appearing on Disney Plus on Wednesday, March 30th. So a little ways to go. I mean, we're only at January now 23rd, so you've got at least 2 more months to go before 2 months and a week before you actually can check out Moon Knight. But we saw the first trailer. I like Oscar Isaac's accent a little bit more in this one than the original clips that they had. Good shot of Ethan Hawke's bad guy character in it. Some good Moon Knight shots and some explanation about his multiple personality stuff. So all in all, pretty strong trailer to begin with. But I said the most important thing was we get the date. March 30th is when Moon Knight Season 1 will be appearing. Excuse me. So, yay. This was a big story this week also. And it's a little late now because we're almost a month out from Christmas, but one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time is A Christmas Story, starring Peter Billingsley and Darren McGavin, and I forget the mom right now. She was in Melinda Dillon. But it is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. It is a well-loved Christmas movie. It airs on the Turner stations on Christmas Eve for 24 hours from Christmas Eve through to Christmas Day. It's like 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve to 8 o'clock on Christmas night. So, there's been some direct to DVD or Blu-ray sequels to it. There was one sequel that came out in the movie theaters called A Summer Story, which took place in the early 90s, but it was done by kind of the same people. both new actors and actresses playing in the roles, and it didn't do very well. And then they did a musical version of it, and so on and so forth. However, this week the world was stunned by the fact that an official Christmas Story sequel has been greenlit and will star Peter Billingsley reprising his role as Ralphie. The premise that we've heard so far is that obviously you can't do Ralphie as a kid anymore because Peter Billingsley is now grown up. So what's the next logical course of action? You move the action 30 years into the future, and you get a 40-plus-year-old Peter Billingsley as a father, celebrating, trying to make the best Christmas he can for his family in the 1970s. So that could be a interesting take. As I said, it was just announced this week. So I'm assuming that scripts and casting and pre-production, all that is underway right now. I probably would make the statement that unless they can get their act together, it would be ridiculous to try to get it out this year because they definitely probably need a more Christmassy weather thing. And since they just announced it, I highly doubt that they have a workable script. They don't have a cast, don't have a director yet. So that takes time. It's not going to take 1 month and then, hey, let's shoot. So I doubt you're going to be filming Christmas scenes during the summer. Now, could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So I would assume that it'll probably start. And it makes sense because it was just announced this week. So you got to go through this pre-production period, which is going to take, I've heard, upwards of a year to get done. So you've got to get the script written and hammered out and to everybody's liking. You've got to hire a director. You've got to hire cast. You've got to hire crews. You've got to build sets. You got to, do everything that you do in movies. So I highly doubt, and then, you want to, you have a certain atmosphere you want to keep, Christmassy sort of thing, and try to make a classic sequel to a classic movie. So I would most likely think that they will probably not start filming this until fall of this year for a 2024 arrival in theaters and or on some streaming service that we don't know of yet. So good on that. Mission Impossible 7, which was supposed to come out this year, has now been moved to July 14th of 2023. And Mission Impossible 8, which is being filmed back-to-back with number 7, is due out on June 28th, 2024. So you're going to get two Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise back-to-back, basically, within a year of each other. So good on that. Actress Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I believe is involved with Ewan McGregor, has signed on to play an unknown character as of now on the Ahsoka show. So good on that for Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Another big story came out, I think, last year when Knives Out became a moderate hit, fairly successful. And Netflix saw how good it was doing on its streaming service and how everybody was reacting to it, that they bought the rights to it and gave money to Rian Johnson, who created Knives Out, to make 2 more Knives Out movies. And they will release on Netflix and in movie theaters at the same time simultaneously, since Netflix is the one that ponied up the money for it. It's the only stipulation they have is that it has to star Daniel Craig as the character he played in the original Knives Out to connect the thread of all the movies. But each movie will have a different cast and a different mystery so that it doesn't become stale. So that's pretty good too. Speaking of Tom Cruise, I probably should have done this with my last after my last story. A film studio is presently being built in outer space. And Tom Cruise has signed on to film an action film in space for real. So they're prepping up this alternate sky station. and are going to create a film set in outer space so they can do these outer space type movies. We'll see how well it works. I don't have any real high hopes that it's going to, but you never know. I think I did a story where there was already someone who flew up via Russia and filmed some stuff on board the ISS, the International Space Station, and is going to now air it as a movie or something. So, la-di-da. Now, spoiler alert, due to the arrival of, what's his name? I forget the actor's name right now. It's killing me. But, Charlie Cox made an appearance in Vincent D'Onofrio, that's right. Made an appearance in Spider-Man No Way Home. And Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin made an appearance in the Hawkeye TV show. And Kevin Feige has said that that Daredevil, when Daredevil becomes a part of the MCU, that he will be played by Charlie Cox. So with Charlie Cox's appearance as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home, the arrival of Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in Hawkeye, it appears that Daredevil is safely ensconced in the MCU, but we do not actually have a physical MCU movie for him yet, but we do have the Netflix TV series that it's based on, which should have been done for the MCU. The reason why it isn't officially, same with Luke Cage and Iron Fist and the Defenders and Jessica Jones, is because Netflix wanted to keep it on, draw people's attention to it on their platform and not on somebody else's. But regardless, Daredevil's rights returned to Marvel after Netflix refused to pick up a fourth season of the show, despite the critical acclaim for it. And now, people are rediscovering Daredevil as well as Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man stuff. So those two films have made it onto the list of top films, top 10 streaming series for the week. So people have gone back to Daredevil because of all this change and stuff like that. Now, I talked about the death pool, Meatloaf and Louis Anderson. There were a few other people that died this week. Gaspari Uliel, a 37-year-old actor who was in Moon Knight, the TV show, died in a ski accident this week. So that's not related to the death pool. It's just something that, a lot of people probably don't even know who he is, so he probably wouldn't have showed up on anybody's bingo card for the most part. David Wolverton, who is a writer who wrote a novel called The Courtship of Princess Leia, he also died this week as well. So, thank you very much. The Eternals had the biggest debut of any of the Marvel movies on Disney Plus this week. So that's a good job for that. Chocolatey caramel pretzel McFlurry is being tested now at McDonald's. So a new flavor of the McFlurry will be available shortly once they see if there's anything they need to do to tweak the recipe. Give me a second. I'm going to lose my train of thought here. A popular folk singer, didn't have the name, but decided that COVID-19 is not all that bad. So to stick it to the libs, she got herself infected with COVID-19 and is presently, doing regular things, and is not, they say, no, I'm sorry, I wasn't my train of thought. So, popular folk singer deliberately got COVID-19 because she wanted to prove to the libs that it's not dangerous. She's not vaxxed. She doesn't have any masks. Well, guess what? She passed away this week due to COVID-19 symptoms. So we've had a lot of that happen. The COVID deniers and stuff like that. They've all gotten COVID and have gone into hospitals and other stuff. Some have died. So it's always a terrible time when people die. The fact of the matter is she could have easily not died if she was just vaccinated. And her whole family isn't either. An archaeologist unearthed a 4,000-year-old board game. So, they're trying to figure out the rules of the game now to see how it's played. So, we'll see what happens with that. The Baltimore Ravens, my football team, they did their first move of the offseason. Their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, has decided that he does not like the direction that John Harbaugh, the coach of the Ravens, is going to take the defense. So he amicably parted ways with them and is now a free agent looking for a job as a defensive coordinator or maybe even a head coach somewhere. So good on that for them. Now, the Ravens also need to get rid of Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, who is really only has a small bag of tricks and is not really doing all that well. So we'll see what happens. Dumb crypto bros thought that they had bought the rights to the Dune movie that just came out. They didn't. I don't understand how that stuff quite works, and they got in trouble for it. Joss Whedon, and we talked a little bit about him. He's been declared not a good person by the Snyderverse Justice League group and also by some of the Buffy cast members as well. Joss Whedon has finally decided to try to defend himself to these allegations and in turn has made things even worse for him and make him look even more like he's an insane lunatic. So we'll see if there's some way he can recover from this, but it's probably not going to happen. So yesterday, Friday, was also Squirrel Appreciation Day. Now, I bring this up mostly because when I was a junior in in college, me and two of my friends took a filmmaking course, and for our final project, we had to make a movie for our student filmmaking show festival thing. So we had to have, film a movie and have a deadline and show it off in class and get reviewed to it by our peers and figure out a way to fix it so that we can, where am I going? I'm going a whole nother tangent now too. So I got to wake up. So regardless, it was Squirrel Appreciation Day, and to celebrate, so I know where I'm going now. So we made this movie called the Squirrel Movie. We call it the Albright College Squirrels because our campus is filled with them. And we end up buying a stuffed squirrel that we nicknamed Rabies and had our friends run around, and we threw rabies at him, making like he was attacked by them. Plus we used POV and stuff like that. It's a good 6-minute film. Type in Albright College Squirrels into your YouTube search engine. You'll be able to find it eventually. So I posted on my Facebook page because, hey, Squirrel Appreciation Day. And then it hit me. We made that movie in 1993, which next year will make it the 30th anniversary of the making of the film. Now, earlier in the week, also, my friend Pat, who was one of the guys that I worked on this film with, he sent me a DM saying that a local band up there in Seattle wants to use our squirrel film as a music video for themselves. So I was like, okay, whatever. It sounds like a plan, I guess. So, yeah, we did that. And then Pat also said that he had sent out the original Super 8 film reel to get digitally remastered and cleaned up. So we'll have a cleaned up version that he'll post eventually. So, but 30 years ago, I made a silly squirrel movie at my college. So 30th anniversary of it coming up next year. So absolutely insane. Squid Game has officially gotten a second season greenlit. I had saw that story come out a while back, and I thought it was officially greenlit, but it actually became officially greenlit this week. So that'll be in the works now for a while here. Swedish fish marshmallows are now a thing. You like the flavor of the Swedish fish, but you don't like the chewiness of it. Now you can get the flavor of the Swedish fish in a marshmallow. So good on that. Fruit Loops flavored milk is a thing that's out in stores now. So if you like the flavor of, it's basically, I think what happened was they put Fruit Loops in a bowl, they put milk in the Fruit Loops bowl and just let it sit. And the chemicals, the breakdown of the cereal pieces turned it into this Fruit Loop flavored milk that anybody could drink if they like the taste of Fruit Loops. So instead of eating it, you drank your Fruit Loops. So, okay. Wallace and Gromit, who are stop motion clay puppets that are hugely, who are big in the UK and actually have a pretty big following here in the United States, will be making their first movie after 15 years. So we'll be seeing some new Wallace and Gromit content very soon, but it's been 15 years since we saw the originals. Nutter Butter, along with Oreos, have created Cake Stirs, which are soft serve cookies that you can eat if you don't want crunchy cookie stuff, but you get the same flavors that you get from Oreos and Nutter Butters. Whew, I really am tired because I'm starting to lose it here. Now, in the comics world, I haven't really been reading comics all that much, but I've been keeping up with stuff. Apparently, Justice League number 75 is coming out in a few months, and Joshua Williamson, the writer of it, has decided that in order to pay homage to the death of Superman, which might have been its 20th anniversary this year, I don't remember or not, going to kill all the Justice League members that are presently in the Justice League. And that includes Superman, Batman, Green Arrow, Flash, all that. And only one of them survived. And we don't know who it is. And so we'll figure out what's going on. But he wanted to get that same feeling that happened in our industry when it was the death of Superman stuff. And I think it's just too late because DC has pulled this stuff a lot and often and have just decided to retcon that it never happened, that sort of thing. So we'll see what happens, but that's one more comic I'm not going to get. So I'm just giving you the info. That's pretty interesting there. Now, Marvel Comics has also been really good about connecting their comics like they do with the MCU, connecting their movies and TV shows together. But they've always had a good time connecting their comics. And it's a whole lot easier, obviously, than it is to connecting movies and TV shows. But the last time Marvel did something like this in the comic industry, it was the arrival of Scourge, who was a character that we never really learned the identity of until later on. It was a vigilante who was a master of disguise and who would hunt down supervillains and would shoot and kill them. The classic line, "Poom spak, justice is served." And the edict from Marvel back in the 80s when this happened was you got to have the Scourge, in your comic. It doesn't have to be a whole page or a whole comic. It just has to be a 2 to 3 square thing, and we can just connect all that stuff to a storyline down the line. So a lot of Marvel books at that time, Spider-Man included, introduced the arrival of Scourge by bringing out old school villains that haven't been seen in years, and these destroying them, so killing them with his gun. So it's been kind of a really neat connective thread that went through a number of comics and then culminated in the Captain America comics. But I bring that up because they look like they're trying it again, but this time not with the Scourge and not with killing people. But memory wipes have been happening across the Marvel Universe, and in recent books like the X-Men and Spider-Man and stuff like that, there have been one or two panels where stuff that they've known or should know or whatever has been wiped from their memory, and they don't understand why that is and what's going on with that. So Marvel's going back with that sort of Scourge thing that they went through, where they had Scourge appeared in a couple of blocks in the main comic and wasn't really a major part of the comic till it got to the Captain America series, where he investigated them. So kind of interesting that they're coming back to that a little bit. Yes, more comics news. Last year, Penguin Random House bought the rights to distribute Marvel through their warehouse. So within a span of about 6 months, Diamond Comics, that was at the time the only comic distributor in the world, lost their two biggest ones, DC and Marvel, to opponents. Well, now's the time that Marvel's trying to fight back, I guess, a little bit. But again, my mind is clear. So what happened was, comic shops have been ordering through Penguin Random House, or they've been ordering through Diamond, but what happens is Diamond buys a ton of their stock and then takes it to a location, opens it up in the computer, and then if you're running low on certain issues or whatever, you can order it through your customer service rep, and then they will send it out to you, and you will get it within 2 or 3 days, whatever your shipping time was or whatever. But there have been recent stories is that comic book store owners are not very happy with the way Penguin has been running stuff. They started a whole new way of doing things without really consulting the people who this affects. So, but in this case, they had a computer issue where store owners could not change their inventory on certain books before the FOC date shut down, which is the date that it goes to the printer. So someone can't AOC. I'm sorry. No, it's not AOC. It's I forget what it's called. Again, my mind is completely wiped right now. I'm kind of struggling to get through this episode, but I got a few more to go. Anyway, they were. It was something that was created when I was still working at Diamond, where people could call up right before their PO goes to press, and they can reduce FOC. That's what it was, FOC. They can either reduce or increase the number of their comics that they want to order before it goes to print, and so they want to change the purchase order. Now, the thinking behind it is that if they get comics a week in advance, or if a news station says, "Oh, Spider-Man's going to get married in the March issue," it'll give plenty of people a chance to order that comic, thinking that, hey, it's going to be worth some money sometime. I should pick it up, or just want to get the book itself and do that. So they're going to probably do something like that, but they are having issues. Retailers are having issues with Penguin getting the books there in time, having a issue where they can't do the FOC, as I said. So it's kind of screwing up inventory and stuff like that. So if Penguin continues going in this downward spiral, they say they're losing lots of money. It's possible that Diamond might be able to get it back eventually. Speaking of comics, also IDW, which was one of the comic groups that I used to take care of when I was a brand manager. What made them kind of huge deals was the fact that they had the G.I. Joe and Transformers comic licenses. So they were making comics based on Transformers and G.I. Joe. Well, apparently they have lost the rights to those licensees, and so another comic company can pick those up and make different comics. So it's not going to happen till later this year, but it is in the works, in the process right now. So it is what it is. The largest wildlife crossing in the world breaks ground in the south of Santa Clarita, California for $7.8 million. So it's one of these things where we have so many highways and there's lots of deaths, animal deaths, deer and fox and raccoons and stray cats and dogs and stuff like that. Well, now they're building a life bridge over these these car-filled highways, and it's a covering that's made of grass and stuff like that, so the animals can walk over it and not through traffic and cause and die, and then also cause damage to vehicles that hit them. So that's a good thing. Marvel Zombies is a big comic that Marvel did years ago, and it's still hugely popular, particularly this past Halloween that just happened. It became even bigger. So Marvel Zombies is huge, and someone decided to make a Kickstarter to create a board game based on the Marvel Zombies story. And they okayed it. So now he's going to get ready to ask for money from you guys and everybody out there soon. So the stuff like that. But it surpassed 2.5 million on Kickstarter in 2 hours. So it's already on its way to being, it might already have passed its threshold. So you'll be seeing a Marvel Zombies board game here in present day soon. I think I've talked about this one before, but I'll bring it up again. The Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but instead you get more of the graham cracker or golden graham sort of flavor to it. So good. Caramel flavored fluffy marshmallow spread is a thing. So you can have your marshmallow spread, but it can also taste a little bit like caramel if you like caramel instead of just straight up cream. So good on that. The longest running PBS TV show, Arthur, will be calling it a day very soon with a future look at their future, where they are, where there should be, and so on and so forth. So there's a good, I guess, there's a story there for that. Swiss Miss Cocoa Puff cereal. I think I talked about that one as well. It's a Cocoa Puff cereal that has a high concentration of hot chocolate flavor on it, so that's probably why it's called that. So we'll see. Cuphead, which is a hugely popular sort of kids video game, is getting its own animated series from Netflix. First trailer for which came out this week. Another trailer came out this week was for Amazon Prime's Lord of the Rings prequel, which they have high hopes for. They've got a date of, I didn't say it, but it's supposed to be sometime in July, I think, July or August, when this Lord of the Rings prequel is going to make its case known and its face known. So we'll see if it was worth the wait. Coca-Cola is redoing their cans to streamline ways of figuring out what soda's what because of all the different flavored now ones. Sometimes you ever been in a grocery store and the cherry Coke and the Coke Classic, they sort of have the same sort of designs and stuff on their 12-pack containers, and sometimes you just grab what you think is a Coke, but you actually get the opposite of that. So Let's see what else. Brand account. So they're going to have a new rebranding, which is going to make things a little bit easier to check out. King of the Hill, the cartoon by the creator of Office Space, and Beavis and Butthead has made King of the Hill. Its cartoon series went off the air a few years ago. It is making a return very soon. So we'll see more King of the Hill cartoons coming up. The Chuck movie, based on the TV show Chuck, has been in the works for a while, but it looks like it's getting even closer to finally getting done and taken care of fully. So good on that. Michael Jackson impersonator clocks a Philadelphia Eagle fan who was sort of messing around with Michael Jackson. He didn't like it and warned him, and he wouldn't take no for an answer or whatever, and he beat the crap out of him. Hot Pockets, you always consider them to be like lunch or dinner sort of flavor stuff. They have some good breakfast stuff. So I have the new sweet treats, which they have the flavors in cinnamon roll and apple pie. So if you wanted to have something like that, you absolutely can now. A high school football coach cancels practice this week because it was skeleton crew, because they're not playing or doing anything, but they still were practicing out there, and ordered them to go to the local town there and help shovel walkways, which is good exercise for them. Builds up their stamina, builds up their arms, stuff like that. So good on that. Daniel Radcliffe has signed on to portray Weird Al Yankovic in a comedic biopic, not done in a not depressing style, documentary style. So should be good to see if he can get the nuance that is Weird Al. Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard, which has been undergoing some changes themselves, so they can take better care of it and fix the problems. Fortnite had a new update this week. Brought back a hugely popular season 1 building, neighborhood, I should say, Tilted Towers. And a new dinosaur is on the island called a Columbo, who's very kind and gentle, but very big. And if you feed them berries, they will shoot out weaponry that you need. Some mythological, some gold, some blue, to help you win the day. You can also ride him, climb on board him, and then he has a blowhole at the top. If you go above the blowhole, he'll blow you out into the air, and your glider will redeploy, and you can land back somewhere else. So Fortnite is, continuing their okay chapter. It's not my favorite, but it's starting to become a little bit of a slag there to get everything done. Going to baseball. John Lester, former pitcher for the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs, has a very interesting career highlight. His career yards. I'm sorry, what is that? ERA. I'm sorry, his ERA is 3.64, and his what these things are. His innings pitched 636. He did the exact number for both the Red Sox and the Cubs, so that's kind of impressive. Milky Cabrera is going to retire from baseball. Not an overly famous guy, but he is retiring from baseball this week. A former New York Yankees pitcher has been charged with murder and is going to get somewhere between 40 to 60 years in prison after Sergio Mitre came home and killed his 1-year-old daughter. So it's an awful story, and he is going to be put away for the rest of his life for the most part. But in the end, a life was lost, and you can't really joke too much about it. Fans fought outside of the Cowboys Stadium after playing the playoff game from last week. So there was a fight that breaks out. Fight seems to break out all the time. And I got 2 more stories, and then I can close my eyes. I'm really tired. Ganymede, the planet, the moon Ganymede of Jupiter, appears to have a FM radio signal coming from its surface, and nobody knows what the reason is for that. So we'll find out about that. And finally, lickable TV screen that you can taste could be bought now in Japan, and it's a interesting sort of idea, but in the end, it's just still kind of a creepy sort of how you're going to do the flavors. I don't know. All right, I'm just about ready to crash here, so thank you for sticking with me. Sorry if I went off on these weird tangents. Should be better next week. Got nothing going on next week, so it should be a regular old jolly fun time. We will not know who's in the Super Bowl till the next day, next Sunday. So we won't be talking about that, but we'll be seeing what else the world can bring to us and see if any other actors and actresses will be joining fellow musicians and actors and actresses and comedians, Louis Anderson and Meatloaf, on the death pool. So we'll see who might be coming up for death, and we'll see hopefully nobody, but we've got things in place in case things are there. All right, thanks a lot. I'm going to go crash now because I'm tired.